woman in Ireland says McGregor and another man raped her in a penthouse suite years ago, and when criminal charges went nowhere, she took her fight to civil court.
What do you think?
What do you have to say? Say sorry for what has happened?
Conor McGregor's late-night party antics were laid bare in civil court before a jury found he did assault a woman. The civil trial heard how the UFC superstar, who was found liable to have assaulted Nikita Hand at a Dublin hotel in December 2018, indulged in parties, boozy nightclub binges, and drug use.
UFC fighter Conor McGregor has been found guilty of assault by a high court in Dublin, Ireland.
Do you have any reaction to the women at the centre? Do you have a reaction? Do you have an apology to the women at the centre of this?
Lastly, I want to thank my daughter, Freya, who I'm most grateful for. She has given me so much strength and courage over the last 6 years throughout this nightmare to keep on pushing forward for justice. I want to show Freya and every other girl and boy that you can stand up for yourself if something happens to you, no matter who the person is, and justice will be served. To all the victims of sexual assault, I hope my story is a reminder that no matter how afraid you might be, speak up, you have a voice, and keep on fighting for justice.
Conor McGregor has lost his sexual assault civil case in Dublin. A High Court jury awarded damages of €248,603 to Nikita Hand against McGregor on Friday after ruling that she was sexually assaulted by the former UFC champion in a Dublin hotel in December 2018. Reports from the court state that the jury took 6 hours and 10 minutes to come to their decision. The case was a civil case, not a criminal case, meaning the assault is deemed a civil wrong and therefore the plaintiff is entitled to compensation.
The Conor McGregor case has come to a close for the time being. He has announced that he will appeal the decision. Before we get into it, I want to give a massive trigger warning as for the contents that you are about to hear, evidence from the trial, what have you. Nikki Hand, who we saw moments ago, would claim she was essayed by McGregor and another man named James Lawrence. The jury, however, found Lawrence did not, but McGregor did. Reports the Times in the early hours of December 9th, 2018, after McGregor and Hand exchanged direct messages on Instagram. A driver picked up Han and a colleague from a holiday party and drove them to where McGregor was staying, the Beacon Hotel in Dublin. Both parties did drugs that evening. Once in the suite, McGregor beckoned Han to the bedroom and began kissing her and removing her clothes. She would try to fend him off, but McGregor, per the suit, put her in a chokehold numerous times, to which she stopped resisting. McGregor then essayed her. During her testimony, Hand was completely shaken, and breaks were needed. She said that night the former Ultimate Fighting Championship star threatened to kill her. She feared she'd never see her daughter again. Her mother would call an ambulance. At the hospital, she would receive treatment from an SA unit, and they would tend to her. A key piece of evidence was a tampon that had to be removed from Hand's body by a doctor using forceps. This was testimony given by physicians at the trial.
For those of us who cannot see these photographs, could you describe the extent and nature of the bruising that you saw in those photographs?
They were horrific.
Frank Gearney, seen here, was in the courtroom covering the case. Shout out to Luke Thomas for this interview. Dr. Daniel Kane from the treatment unit would describe the tampon being wedged at the top of Hand's private area via RTE. Kane also said she had a possible internal tear in her privates and a multiplicity of injuries, including bruising on all 4 limbs. He said he classed her injuries as moderate to severe. These were monumental, key pieces of evidence in this case.
We saw the photographs, the jurors were shown the photographs. Nikita Hand was black and blue from head to toe. The photographs were very, very difficult to look at. For me, as a seasoned journalist who, covers murder and rape trials in the criminal courts day to day, they were a very, very difficult thing to look at. you would have to assume it was very difficult for the juries to look at them too.
McGregor, meanwhile, testified he never forced Hand to do anything and that she was lying. He claims the sex was consensual. McGregor's lawyers labeled Hand a gold digger. Another big moment from the case that left jurors rather stunned was the following. Hand's counsel would ask Conor McGregor why he had not given Irish police his cell phone at the time, and it led to this. McGregor appeared aggravated and raised his voice, saying he wanted all documentation entered into the court record, including a statement from a taxi driver that he claimed would show Hand sucking his privates in the back of the car. It was reported as a mask slip moment from McGregor by court reporters. Catherine Fagan reported more during his time on the witness stand, spread over a day and a half. Those present had been left both stunned and bewildered by what McGregor, the notorious, had to say. In the wake of the verdict, Conor McGregor would tweet and delete on his social media the following: "I will be appealing today's decision. The judge's instruction and the modest award given was for assault, not aggravated or exemplary damages. I am disappointed that the jury did not hear all the evidence that the DPP reviewed. I am with my family now, focused on my future. Thank you to all my support worldwide." For McGregor, this is another incident on top of many when it comes to events outside of the octagon. He faced other SA allegations. In 2023, one woman accused him of attempting to force her to perform O-sex on him. The Miami State's Attorney's Office did not pursue criminal charges. Then in 2018, McGregor would be charged with 3 counts of assault and 1 count of criminal mischief after a brawl backstage during a UFC fight in the year 2018. He would go on to reach a plea deal when a disorderly conduct case came about. He would avoid going to jail. Still, many weighed in when we knew of the verdict. Earlier this year, Conor McGregor was on social media talking about the need to protect Irish women from foreigners. "Women need protecting from him," wrote one Twitter user. This is the spiritual leader of the Irish Patriot movement, determined by a jury of his peers to be a rapist on the balance of probability. The UFC's Bilal Muhammad, meanwhile, would go on to retweet an old message from none other than the man who dethroned Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov. This goes without saying. It is within the bounds of the legal system, and as a caveat, depending on the country, very hard to prove these things, even if it appears to be true. And also very important, as we heard from Hand, she is hoping that her testimony coming forward will help some of those who are maybe feel like they can't and may share in a feeling of apprehension for doing so. And I think it was very powerful what she said, that no matter who it is, no matter their stature, justice can be served. Because we have seen too many times decisions legally go the other way. And what that has done is sadly set a precedent for many people. Fear coming forward. Because what this does as well is it opens up fresh wounds that some may have tried to tend to when it comes to therapy, talking about it with loved ones, having to hear all of this in a courtroom setting. It's very triggering and also very demanding and taxing on someone. But as she said, I hope that her testimony and others will give those who are maybe a little fearful about coming forward to do so. And I would hope that justice would be served on that day as well. For Conor McGregor, I gotta be honest. His tweet and then delete, where the message was like a like pitying the amount that Hand received. I thought that was horrible. He had that terrible moment in the case. If I were to be a betting man, after he sold his stake in Proper Number 12 for $150 million, and we have a track record here, my guess would be he lays low for a while, and then we see what happens. But with said track record, here's what we know. This is a troubled person who really does need some help, in my view. And to look in the mirror and say, I need to do better for myself, my significant other, and my family. And it really seems like at this point, he has not had that. Frankly, I hope he does.